Hey everyone, in this video I'll be breaking down why your Palworld builds do less damage than others that you may have seen online. There's actually a lot of reasons for this, and just to quickly illustrate what I mean, we have a level 80 Eidolon here, and you can see its attack stat is 850. Compare this to this Eidolon here, which has over 10,000 attack. There's obviously a large difference there, and the way that attack and defense stats are calculated, your ones with high attack are obviously going to be doing a lot more damage. And another thing that I want to mention right off the bat is that some people play on multiplayer servers. The amount of health and scaling that enemies get in multiplayer is a lot different than if you're playing on single player, where a lot of the videos you're likely seeing are made by people that are playing single player. And this is why some of the boss enemies that you'll be seeing are going to have a lot more health in your game if you're on like a multiplayer server, for example, than ones you would have seen in other videos. Now I'll take you through how to get your pals to be as strong as possible here, but there is another thing that's kind of hidden in the game. A lot of people don't really know about this. In your inventory, go under key items here and go down to the bottom. You're going to see these tokens, the bounty tokens that you've got from taking out bosses. Now the thing about these is, you can see that they're going to give your character a different type of damage enhancement. So, well, your pals, if they are a electric type, for example, these are all boosting up electric damage. Some of them will give a large damage increase. They're not a massive boost, but for some people that have just rushed through the game and haven't done any of these bosses, you can do some of these here. They're going to match the type of the pal that they are and get some pretty nice return on investment for your pal's attacks. They're anywhere from like 1 to 3% extra damage, but every little bit actually does count. But I will take one of these pals just right here that has an 850 attack, and we're going to turn it into one of these pals here that has a 10,000 attack. So firstly, your inventory, what you have for items, and in particular things like the batons, you can give yourself multiple of these because they come with a pal attack up level 4 for a 20% boost to the pal's attack. Things like the Dojin emblem as well, we'll get into items a little bit more later, but the reason I want to talk about this right at the start here is you see we have 850 attack, now it's in our inventory and it has 1400. So the stats will get increased obviously with the items in your inventory, but they aren't active in the pal box. But first off, we're going to talk about passives. The pal surgery table is a huge thing here that I've had talked to people that have not actually put passive on their pals. And I'm going to show you why this is so important. So we have a control Eidolon and our Eidolon here that we're going to be buffing up. So honestly, some of the most impactful things to add to your pal are immunity to flinch and knockback. This is going to reduce the amount of DPS they can do because they're not spending that time attacking. Diamond Body is a really good one to add on to your pal here. We're also going to then add on Serenity. The reason Serenity is so good, I see a lot of people get confused over this. The active skill cooldown reduction means that the pal's like their attacks. It doesn't mean their pal skill like their partner skill. So this means that you're gonna have your pal do their special attacks more commonly, and they're not gonna just, every pal has a basic ranged attack that they'll do that does not that much damage. So we want them to actually use their skills. Serenity allows you to use your skills more commonly. It also does give a 10% attack boost, but that's not why we're using it. And again, I'm meaning these 3 active skills here that your pal has. That is what's getting their cooldown reduced by Serenity. Now, another passive that I would recommend is, since we got the defense, or the defense boost from the Diamond Body there, you can then throw on Twin Edged Holy Blade, which give a 50% attack boost and a -30 to defense, which is fine, but big boost to our defense, or our offense there. Immortality, though, is another really useful one. For people that say that their pals go down all the time, the text on this is currently bugged, but it absorbs basically 5% of the damage that you deal is going to get absorbed as health so that your pals can last for a lot longer. It also gives them more regeneration rate, but most importantly too, it gives a 50% extra attack. So I like to throw this one on alongside. And for the last one, we have options. There's things like Musclehead for a 30% attack boost, Demon God for a 30% attack boost and defense boost. You also have some other ones here, like Vanguard to boost up the player's attack. That can give you 50% extra attack if you have your whole team rocking that. But we're going to throw on the Twin Edged Holy Blade here just to go full in on our offense. So this is the pal that we started with, 1394, and it is now at 2031. So a pretty big jump there. Next, that improved stats, and something I see a lot of people not paying attention to is that the Condensed level here is level 1. Their stats increase off of that as well as their partner skills. So this one will increase his attack by 2% for every Dragon and Dark type pal in your party, which can get pretty crazy once you get this fully maxed out. I have posted guides on how you can farm the Starfruit really easily, but that is the quickest, most efficient way to be able to just max out your pal's Condensed level, because you can just use these a few times and then have it fully maxed out. So yeah, we went from around 2,000 there to now 2438, so a huge jump. That's giving us 1,000 extra attack, which is a massive difference. Not to mention this skill is now 6%. Another huge thing is people don't understand the massive benefit you get from trust. So we're at 24 to 38 here. I did post a video yesterday of 5 different farms for kinship peaches. So you can use these to max out the pal's trust level. They will automatically become favorited, so you can have them there. You can also remove that favorite mark just by clicking that if you ever wanted to sell them. But yeah, you see it there. Our attack stat is now 2696. So we're now pretty much double what we started with, which is absolutely a massive increase. Now there's an item in the game, there's a few items in the game that'll let you see the IVs, or the individual values. It's kind of their hidden stat values here. So if we go to look at our party, for example, when you have those equipped, we can see that we have 0 potential here on this pal. This is easy to fix if you, well, they actually changed to make it a little bit more challenging, but I do have a video on how to farm these. We want to have the life, power, and stout fruits here, because with using these, we can then max out each of its values for the stats. So we just went with the increase to its overall health. We'll then take up its pal's attack. So it's at 2515 here, and now it's at 3189. So you can see, pretty big jump. So yeah, we're around 3,200 compared to the 1,200 there we started off with. But the next one is using the pal souls here, the statue of power. Now what this does is it allows us to enhance our pals. There's actually a lot of people that don't know about this, which is kind of surprising because of how beneficial it is. Now this will require you to have pal souls, which we can use a nightmare here to give ourselves increased pal soul drops from this. Now, the 2 hardest to get are the large and giant pal souls. I just posted a video on how to farm them, but in short, Anubis is for the large pal souls. So basically just set up a breeding camp and have him get, disassembled multiple times. Or if you're going for the giant pal souls, the best source would be Agidron. So yeah, that's exactly what this pal here is used for, is making souls. But you just come up to the statue of power here and you go to enhance pals, and you're going to see the increase is massive. It's a 60% jump in its overall stats. So I'll just use its attack set here. So you use up all the pal souls there. It's going to cost you 10 small, 6 medium, 6 large, and 30 giant pal souls. But again, Agidron is just amazing for that. And we're currently at 3275 for our attack stat. Afterwards, 5237. That is a huge jump, and that's why I think a lot of people just aren't getting the most out of their builds, as they aren't using pal souls. I'd be surprised how many comments I've gotten surrounding that. But yeah, we're now at 5,000 compared to the 1,200 we started at. Now, another thing that can impact your pal's base stats, it's not really like a super impactful one, but the pal labor research lab. So with that, you can basically go ahead, use it to go through the skill tree on there, which will buff up your pal's abilities at the base camp, but it also will give them an attack boost while they're here. Not super massive for build purposes, but it's something to mention. And new with the latest update is Awakening crystals. Now these will give a further increased boost. You get these from the world tree. A lot of enemies there will drop these, and you can craft them at a workbench. But the big thing about it is you can use it to then get this cool glow around your pal and further boost up their stats even higher. Having them awakened will give a very nice pal boost. So we went from the 52 to 56 now. So again, another massive increase. Now I can mess around with the passive stats and make this even higher. Like you can see here, mine is the 5663, but I do have another one at 6776 because it has muscle head instead, which gives us a 30% attack boost. So yeah, you can mess around the passives. I just like to have diamond body, as it ends up being more DPS because your pals are getting tossed around. Now items are actually really important here, and you can just run the batons here. The batons will give a damage enhancement to a specific type, and it gives a 20% pal attack bonus. So having 3 of these on here will give a nice boost. I also personally like to have the Dojin emblem for 20% boost to your damage as well as your pal's damage. You can also then throw in like attack pen if you want. If like it's a player damage build, this will give a 15% increased attack. You can also go with something like the Lily Nox, for example, which will give damage defense up and the dark damage enhancement. But I would recommend the batons plus Dojin emblem for pure DPS. I personally like to throw in the Airwalker EX though. And the last step is to maximize their skills and use certain supporting pals. Now, these are typically covered in the builds, but I just want to talk about this as well because this can take it up a whole nother level. So we have our pal here at around 6,000 attack that we started with, our regular one there with a 1411. This is because I swapped on the batons, so their attack did get a bit of a boost here. But when we start to add more dark and dragon types to the party, this is where it gets even further enhanced. But I also want to talk about pals like Demon Eye. This increases the attack of dark pals by 30%. Why this is important is it's not dark damage that gets increased, it's all attacks. So you can throw a Demon Eye into your party here, which is going to give it the 6% increase, but it also gives it another increase, which takes that attack set up to 6949. So 30% boost, but even better is you can then swap out, we have only dragon type tiles, but if you had like electric type moves on here, same type attack bonus in the game is only going to be 20%. So you can change elements here and still do an insane amount of damage if you're using pals like this. Now there's other ones. There's also Hoocrates here, which will further increase by 30%. They're different names. It says does not stack, but these both do stack, because you can see our pal now has 7839 for its attack when it started off with much less. So we're also maximizing that. But there's one last thing. Celestier Knock does a pretty insane boost to its damage, because this is going to add an additional 80%. So you see there, it's not active with a 7839, but as soon as we throw our pal out, this becomes active, and its attack stat is now 98, 118. Insane. And the last tip here is Orzhirk. Now, Orzhirk is a really powerful pal. Some people don't understand how this actually works, but every bullet they fire will give a 5% damage boost. The drone launcher does count. That's 150% extra attack. So, great thing is it's a dragon type pal, so it fits perfectly within our party. I'll just move things around here. So we now have Orzhirk. This is only going to give the attack boost when we end up doing an attack. You can see it kind of there. We don't have it fully in effect, but we got 13,000 attack there. This is because I was able to fire off my combat SMG, one of my favorite weapons for doing this, which will give it an attack boost there. So yeah, you can see 13,000 attack, which is much better than that 850 we started with. So yeah, it's a lot higher. So yeah, I just want to talk about this because it's been a topic that I've seen on my videos in particular. Multiplayer does have different scaling, unfortunately, which does change the overall health of the enemies, but there's a lot of people that just weren't aware of like the trust level and how that impacts it, or why passives are so good, or why items are so good, or that you can actually put IV fruits on your pals. Like, I just want to break everything here down so that you can get the most out of your pals. Let me know though if you have any questions, and hit the subscribe button below if this was helpful, and I hope you guys all have a great day.